What's up, guys? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. Another week, another first run impressions video, and let's hope that my computer doesn't crash right when I'm trying to export the project again. So yeah, today we have another first run impressions video, and when I got this shoe and I tried it on, I was underwhelmed, to say the least. But I have to admit, after wearing this shoe on a few runs, my tune has changed. And that shoe is the New Balance Beacon 3. I don't really like this color, but... So back in like 2017 when the first Beacon came out, I got it and I loved it. I did have some issues with it, like foot fatigue and sizing, but I skipped the 2 and now I have the 3. So I'm hoping those things have been improved upon over time. I don't want to give too much away because I have, like I said, already worn this shoe on some runs. But we're going to lace these up. We're going to go for another run, and then we're going to talk all about my first impressions of the New Balance Beacon V3. Side note, Ruby's at the groomer right now. It's her first time there, and she was scared when I dropped her off. I felt really bad, and it's kind of lonely being in the house with no pup. I don't really like it. And now it's time to talk all about the New Balance Beacon 3. So I think I touched this a little bit earlier, but I was a really big fan of the Beacon 1. Here we are. I did a lot of my training for the Philadelphia Marathon the summer before in the Beacon 1, and I loved the shoe and I planned to wear it in the marathon, but unfortunately there were some issues with it that I just couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger and wear it for 26.2 miles. I had some foot fatigue, there were some durability issues, as you can see here. There's a nice hole in the upper of the shoe. So then I skipped the 2, and here we are now with the 3. I was really excited to get this shoe because I liked the 1 so much. And I gotta be honest, when I first put this shoe on my foot, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm gonna like this at all. But I gave it a chance. I put it to the test on multiple runs. I've had like about 3 runs of this shoe now, and I gotta say, I really, really like this shoe, and I'm glad that I gave it a chance and didn't just push it to the side. And we're gonna talk about why today. Before we get started today, I do want to let you guys know that this shoe was sent to me by New Balance. However, they're not going to see this video before you. No one is going to see it before you. They're not paying me to make this video. Everything I say is all made up in my mind. Well, not the facts, the opinions, I mean. So without any further ado, let's start with the specs. The New Balance Beacon V3 is 7.1 ounces for a women's size 8, and for my size, 10.5 women's, the shoe came in at 8.3 ounces. Pretty light. It has a 6mm drop with 29mm of stack in the heel and 23 in the forefoot. And this is another case of not really being super true to size. So I'm not gonna give it to him, but we'll talk more about that in the upper portion of the video. In fact, let's talk about the upper now. The upper of the New Balance Beacon 3 is an engineered mesh, which is pretty breathable. We don't really have a ton of overlays here, just the New Balance logo in the midfoot with some extra bit of material in that area. And of course, we have this very interesting heel counter. The laces are flat and stretchy, stayed tied, no issues there. The tongue is somewhat padded, but it's not gusseted. However, it didn't slip and slide to each side of the shoe. We have what looks like no padding in this heel area. However, there is some around the ankle, kind of buried down in there. This area looks like it would irritate your ankle, but it actually didn't bother mine at all. In fact, I didn't even feel it. And of course, we have this very strange, interesting heel that New Balance calls the Ultra heel. I call it the wrinkly brain heel. I don't think that it does anything special that a normal looking heel doesn't do. It locked me in just fine. I didn't have any Achilles issues, which is great. Yes, this is kind of like a pull tab. I did, however, experience some heel slippage, so I did have to use the last loophole here, which is fine. But yeah, I can take or leave this heel. I've kind of said that before. And yes, this engineered mesh material is breathable, and it's also kind of nice because I'm not breaking through the upper with my toes like I did in the Beacon 1. They were calling this like a knit material. This is much better. I'm not sure what they used in the 2. I just happen to think this upper material is more durable and more comfortable, I'd say. However, there is something that I do need to point out that you all must listen to. Please, thank you. This is a 10.5 and this is a 10.5. In the first Beacon, I had issues where I thought that my toes were kind of close to the front of the toe box. And I guess maybe that's why I was breaking through the top of the shoe here. Well, here's the 3, and I'm happy to say that my toes are not touching the top of the toe box. However, it feels like they might be a little too long now. Like I said earlier, the first time I tried this shoe on, when I first took it out of the box, I was like, oh, this is probably too big. I mean, I can make it work for reviewing purposes, but normally I would go for something a little bit smaller. When I started to run in this shoe to test it out, I wore a thicker sock, and it actually felt really good. I still do have some extra room, but if I cinch these laces down, I have a dialed in fit, so my foot isn't sliding to the top of the shoe. It doesn't feel sloppy really. Still, I think maybe a size 10 in the V3 would fit a little bit better for me. Other than that sizing issue, I do like this upper, but yeah, just the extra durability here is 2 thumbs up for me. Moving on to the midsole of the Beacon 3, New Balance is using their Fresh Foam X material. I believe this is the ground contact version, which in the 1 they also use Fresh Foam ground contact. It just wasn't Fresh Foam X. But I can tell you this feels like a big improvement from the 1. First of all, it just looks like there's more midsole material here. And that alone is an improvement to me. I mean, this shoe feels very protective, even though there's not a ton of material here. It's a lot springier than I thought it would be, especially because in the Beacon 1, like I said, I was experiencing some foot fatigue. And I think that's just because that Fresh Foam, that regular Fresh Foam just feels a little dead. With the Fresh Foam X that they're using here, it just seems like there's more life to it. I was actually very impressed and surprised with how fun this shoe was to run in. Because of the response of the Fresh Foam X, you're able to go faster in the shoe. In fact, it was really easy for me to go faster in the Beacon 3 without really even trying. And it was also a pleasure to take on slightly longer runs. I took the shoe on a 7.5 mile run, and it felt great. I felt protected every step of the way. My first run in this shoe was like one of those moments where like, whoa, that's not what I was expecting. This is one of those shoes that can do a multitude of different kinds of runs. It's sort of like your one-stop shop. You can do tempo, you can do long runs in this, and you can just do your whatever you feel like doing, middle of the road runs. It's such a wonderful ride. I wouldn't call the Beacon plush, but I also wouldn't call it firm. It's like that sweet spot in between. It really depends on the runner what you want to do that day, and the Beacon responds. I do think that the durability of this foam will just be better than the version 1. It feels more resilient. One thing to note is that this is a very neutral shoe. As you can see, it is pretty darn flexible. Not as flexible as the Razor Plus that we reviewed last week, but still very flexible in that kind of Razor Plus, Kinvara, Territory, Atreyu, that sort of thing. However, this does have a slightly wider platform, especially in that forefoot, and the midfoot of the shoe doesn't get too narrow. So while I did have a tiny bit of overpronating in the shoe, it really wasn't anything terrible. And I felt really comfortable the entire time I ran in it. One thing that I do wish that the Beacon 3 had in that midsole was a rocker technology. It is pretty flat feeling. There's no help rolling you forward. But what I will say is that that forefoot does feel kind of snappy. A lot snappier than I thought it would feel. But yeah, I just think this shoe would be even more fun with the rocker technology. That's all. Moving on to the outsole of the New Balance Beacon V3, we have a lot of exposed Fresh Foam X. This is Fresh Foam ground contact, just to give it a little extra durability. And in my shoe, it's kind of hard to see because the rubber is the same color as the foam, but there are 3 pods of rubber in the forefoot and 2 on the lateral side of the heel. The Beacon 1 actually has the same exact rubber placement, just different colors, so it's easier to see. So that's really what this looks like. In terms of traction, the outsole wasn't too bad. I mean, it really does grip onto the pavement and those surfaces just fine, despite not having a ton of rubber. I understand that in order to keep this shoe light, New Balance really wanted to not throw a ton of rubber at it. So that makes sense. However, it will suffer on durability. So just something to keep in mind that this pair of shoes, the outsole, might not last you as long as some others. Yes, this is ground contact fresh foam, but it's still foam and it's still gonna fray and it's still gonna lose a little bit of its life. The New Balance Beacon V3 is $119.95 on runningwarehouse.com. To be completely honest with you, I think that this shoe should be like $110. In fact, I think the Beacon 1 was around $110. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was. Kinvaras are 110 bucks. Atreyus are like 95 bucks. I think it would be more competitively priced a little bit lower. If you're interested in picking up your own pair of the New Balance Beacon V3, just go to the description of this video, click that link and pick up your own pair. It is an affiliate link with Running Warehouse, but that doesn't mean much for you. It just helps out my channel so I can keep reviewing these shoes, helping you pick a pair that works for you, and we all win. I love this shoe. I highly anticipate running it into the ground. It's fun, it's snappy, it's lightweight. I really think it's a fantastic option for your rotation. I just don't really like this color. Well guys, that concludes my first run impressions of the New Balance Beacon V3. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit that notifications bell down below so you can find out every time I upload a new video. I would love this color in this shoe. I have some more videos for you guys next week, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like heller. See you next time. And another side note is that it's actually kind of cold outside. I mean, I'm in shorts. Oh, somebody sounds angry.